The sky over Oranienburg is a pale, bruised gray. It is February 1945. The Third Reich is collapsing. The Russians are closing in from the east. The Americans are hammering the west. But here, high above the burning cities, something alien is cutting through the clouds. It doesn't look like a plane. It has no tail. It has no propeller. It has no fuselage. It looks like a giant wooden boomerang. It is a flying wing, and it is moving faster than anything the Allies have ever seen. The pilot, Lieutenant Erwin Ziller, checks his gauges. The needle pushes past 500 miles per hour. He is flying the Horten Ho 229, Hitler's last hope, a ghost made of plywood and glue. Suddenly, the cockpit vibrates violently. A sickening thud echoes through the airframe. The starboard engine flames out. The aircraft yaws to the right, threatening to spin into an uncontrollable death spiral. Ziller grabs the stick with both hands. He is floating in a wooden coffin, 6,000 feet above the hard German earth. This wasn't just a test flight. It was the birth of stealth technology, 40 years before its time. If you enjoy uncovering the secret history of military technology and the machines that changed warfare, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button. We are digging into the archives to bring these stories to light. The year is 1945. Nazi Germany is desperate. They need a miracle weapon. A Wunderwaffe. The Allied bombers are destroying German industry with impunity. The Luftwaffe is grounded, out of fuel and out of pilots. But amidst the chaos, two brothers are working on a vision that defies conventional aeronautics. Reimar and Walter Horten. They don't believe in tails. They don't believe in drag. They believe that the only thing an aircraft needs is a wing. For years, they were ridiculed. The German High Command wanted standard fighters, Messerschmitts, Focke-Wulfs. But the Horten brothers were obsessed. They worked in garages. They worked in furniture shops. They built gliders out of cheap wood because metal was scarce. But now, with the war lost, the High Command is listening. They need something that can carry 1,000 kilograms of bombs, fly 1,000 kilometers per hour, and travel 1,000 kilometers deep into enemy territory. The 3-1000 project. We are now inside the cockpit with Lieutenant Ziller. It is cramped. It smells of pine adhesive, sawdust, and high-octane jet fuel. A strange mixture of a carpenter's shop and a futuristic laboratory. The instrument panel is sparse. There is no ejection seat, just a parachute and a prayer. Ziller looks out through the thick glass. He doesn't see a nose stretching out in front of him. He sees nothing but the horizon. It feels like he is flying like a bird, suspended in the air without a machine around him. The roar of the twin Junkers Jumo 004 jet engines is deafening. These are the same engines used in the Me-262, but here, buried inside the wooden wing, they scream with a different pitch. He writes in his logbook later that evening. The ink is shaky. The machine feels alive. It does not fight the air. It slides through it. The ground crew watches from below. To them, the Ho 229 looks like a monster. A dark silhouette against the winter sun. It is coated in a special mixture, charcoal dust and wood glue. Reimar Horten claims it absorbs radar waves. The British radar stations on the coast won't see it coming until it is too late. It is the world's first stealth fighter. Ziller banks the aircraft. The G-force pushes him into his seat. He is testing the limits. "Tower, I am bringing her around," Ziller says. His voice is distorted by the static. "Watch your speed, Ziller." "Don't push the engines," the radio crackles back. "She wants to go faster," Ziller replies. He levels out. The speed is intoxicating. For a moment, he forgets the war. He forgets the rubble of Berlin. He forgets that his country is the villain of the world's story. He is just a man in a machine that shouldn't exist. But reality returns quickly. A warning light flickers. The hydraulics are temperamental. The engines are prone to catching fire. They have a lifespan of only 10 to 20 hours before they melt down. Every second in the air is a gamble. Reimar Horten watches from the ground, binoculars pressed to his eyes. He knows the risks. He knows that if this fails, the project is dead. And likely, so are they. "Is he stable?" Reimar asks. "He is flying on the edge," Walter replies. The aircraft dives. It cuts through the air with zero resistance. The lack of a vertical stabilizer makes it unstable but agile. A skilled pilot can make it dance. A rookie would kill himself in seconds. Ziller pulls up. The wooden wings flex. They are designed to withstand 7 Gs. It is a marvel of engineering. A jet bomber made of materials you could find in a kitchen cabinet? "In my mind," Reimar later wrote in his memoirs, "I saw the shape of the future. The tail is a parasite. It creates drag. It serves no purpose but to slow you down." But on February 18, 1945, the dream turns into a nightmare. Ziller takes off for another test flight. The takeoff is smooth. The nose wheel lifts, and the giant bat wing soars into the sky. He retracts the gear. He climbs to altitude. Then, the catastrophe. The right engine coughs. A stream of black smoke trails behind the wing. The turbine blades shatter. The engine seizes. Ziller fights the controls. The aircraft violently pulls to the right. Without a tail rudder to compensate, the asymmetrical thrust is deadly. The stealth fighter becomes a falling leaf. "Mayday! Engine failure!" Ziller shouts. "Bail out, Ziller! Bail out!" the radio screams. Ziller looks at the canopy. He can jettison it. He can jump. He has a parachute. He has a family. But he also has the prototype, the only one that flies. If he crashes, the data is lost. The program ends. He makes a choice. He tries to save the plane. He cuts the throttle on the good engine to balance the thrust. The aircraft slows down. It drops like a stone. He extends the landing gear. He pumps the hydraulics manually. The compressed air tank hisses. The gear locks down with a heavy clank. He is coming in too steep. The runway rushes up to meet him. He is wrestling with the stick, his muscles burning. He needs to pull the nose up, just a little more. "Come on," he grits his teeth. "Hold together." The ground is 50 feet away, then 20, then 10. The aircraft hits the frozen earth. It doesn't glide, it bounces. The wooden structure groans under the impact. It slides across the snow, spinning wildly. Dirt and ice spray into the air. The landing gear collapses. The belly of the plane tears open. Silence falls over the airfield. The sirens wail. The fire trucks race across the tarmac. The rescue crews pull Ziller from the wreckage. He is unconscious. His body is broken. The smell of unburnt fuel hangs heavy in the cold air. He never wakes up. Lieutenant Erwin Ziller dies 2 weeks later in a hospital. He gave his life for a wooden wing. The Horten brothers are devastated. But the war does not stop for grief. The Americans capture the facility a few months later. They find the prototypes. They find the blueprints. They are stunned. General George Patton's Third Army uncovers the hangar. Inside, sitting in the shadows, is the unfinished hull of the next model. The soldiers stare at it. It looks like something from a comic book, or a nightmare. "What the hell is that?" a GI asks. "That," an intelligence officer replies, "is what we're taking home." They pack it up. Operation Paperclip ships the Horten Ho 229 across the Atlantic to the United States. It disappears into the dark warehouses of the government. For decades, it sits in storage, gathering dust. A curiosity, a trophy. But the idea didn't die. Decades later, engineers at Northrop Grumman began working on a new project, a top-secret bomber, the B-2 Spirit. When it was finally unveiled to the public, historians gasped. It was the same shape, the same flying wing, the same lack of a tail. In 2008, a team of engineers from Northrop Grumman went to the Smithsonian facility where the Ho 229 was stored. They wanted to know the truth. Was it really stealth? Did the Nazis actually crack the code? They built a full-scale replica. They used the same materials, the same glue. They put it on a radar range and blasted it with World War II-era frequencies. The results were chilling. The wooden wing, mixed with the charcoal dust, absorbed the radar waves. It had a radar cross-section 20% that of a standard fighter. It would have been almost invisible to the British chain-home radar network. If the Horten Ho 229 had been produced in numbers, if it had arrived just 1 year earlier, it could have penetrated English airspace undetected. It could have dropped bombs on London before the air raid sirens even whined. Reimar Horten lived until 1994 in Argentina. He saw the B-2 bomber fly. He saw his dream realized by his former enemies. "I knew it," he reportedly said near the end of his life. The physics never lie. The Ho 229 remains one of the great what-ifs of history. It was a machine built by a regime of evil, designed to prolong a war that was already lost. But from a purely technological standpoint, it was a masterpiece. It broke every rule of aviation and proved that the future didn't need a tail. Today, the only surviving Horten Ho 229 sits in the restoration hangar of the Smithsonian's Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center. It is stripped of paint. You can see the plywood layers. You can see the rusted jet engines. It looks fragile, ancient, but when you stand in front of it, you don't see a relic. You see the grandmother of the modern stealth bomber. You see the shadow that hangs over modern warfare. War creates heroes, but it also creates shadows. The Horten Ho 229 was one of them. If you want more forgotten stories of real people and strange machines that lived through W. Subscribe. This channel exists to bring their voices back. The past is never truly gone. It is just waiting to be dug up.